one of the most bizarre games of the season for Arsenal in terms of, I didn't really think this was their best game in terms of control, in terms of defensively, in terms of, I actually thought at times Crystal Palace were a bit unfortunate for things to go the way they did. On both ends, to be honest with you. I think Palace created chances, Palace had opportunities, Palace, I thought at times defended okay, but it just kind of felt like everything Arsenal touched today turned to goals. 5-1 Arsenal against Crystal Palace. And welcome back to footballing relevance, Gabriel Jesus. In the space of a week, a man seemingly completely on the outside looking in is now firmly back amongst the goals. And all it took was a few games against Crystal Palace to revitalize the guy. It almost feels like 22-23 again. That's the season where Jesus arrived to Arsenal, and those first few weeks and months at the club were sensational. Let's keep it a buck. Jesus looked like one of the most informed center forwards in Europe. Arsenal were playing liquid football. They were scoring goals for fun. The attack was clicking, and Jesus was really at the heart of it, both in terms of scoring goals, creating them, linking up. And look, I don't want to, go too far and say anything too crazy, but off the basis of the last two games, Jesus looks back. He looks fit. He looks sharp. He's taking his finishes extremely well, even though today he probably should have bagged the hat trick. But the goals that he is putting away, they're extremely well taken goals. And it just kind of begs the question, is Jesus the piece in Arsenal's attack that can kind of get these guys clicking? And now look, Arsenal, I think, have the joint best goal difference in the league. And they're scoring goals. Like, they've put 5 past West Ham. They've put 5 past Crystal Palace. They put 5 past Sporting. It's not like they're not scoring goals. But for me, it's more so the variety in the way they're scoring goals. They've been incredible off set pieces, but prior to today's game, they were a league average when it came to open play goals. Today, obviously, that's boosted that up massively, even though they do get a goal off a set piece today. But could Jesus's reintroduction into the starting 11, providing that he is playing the way he has been in the last 2 games, kind of reinvigorate Arsenal's attack going forward? Now, another thing to kind of take into account is Bukayo Saka's injury. Now, Saka goes down today amongst no contact, really. It's a muscular injury, and it does beg the question, could Saka be out for a sustained amount of time? Is this 3 to 4 weeks out for Saka? Is it 3 to 4 games? Let's see. But if he's out of this 11, one thing I've said about Arsenal all season is that if it's not Saka and if it's not set pieces, how does this Arsenal team score? And I know they've gotten 4 or 5 today without him, but long term, can they survive without him? But I was very excited to see how this team would kind of react once he did go down, because that's a big question mark on the team. And I thought they responded pretty well. One guy who I want to give flowers to outside of Gabriel Jesus today is Gabriel Martinelli. Now, Martinelli has taken a lot of flack the last 2 seasons, and especially these past 2 weeks, ever since Thierry Henry arrived on Monday Night Football and kind of highlighted how indecisive and how, flat Martinelli's performances have been, especially in the final third and in the final action. He highlighted a few occasions where Martinelli has space in behind to kind of run into and take his man on, and instead of doing that, he's almost caught in 2 minds and ends up just turning backwards and playing it to his fullback. Whereas you're a fast, aggressive, dynamic player. You should be attacking the space in behind. And lo and behold, today, Martinelli has absolutely done that. But it hasn't come on the left, it's come on that right-hand side. So when Saka went down, Martinelli moved to the right, Trossard moved to the left, and we kind of got that front 3 with Havertz in behind. And I actually thought Martinelli had a good game today. I thought Martinelli was aggressive, I thought Martinelli was direct, and I thought Martinelli did an excellent job of just taking on his fullback, attacking the space in behind, attacking positions, going into attacking positions, and finishing his chances and putting balls into dangerous areas. I thought Martinelli had a really good game today. It's probably his best game I've seen Martinelli play in quite a bit of time. So in Saka's absence, let's see, hopefully he isn't out too long, could Martinelli be a viable solution in that role? Because I thought today, that's the best we've seen from Martinelli in months, if not a whole damn year. But on the flip side, right, although it felt like Mikel Arteta kind of took the shackles off this Arsenal team, you kind of saw that in Declan Rice not being included in the 11, Partey being reintroduced. I thought Partey, to be honest, for the goal that Palace scored today, not his best work, and I think that's always the worry with Thomas Partey. Yes, on the ball, he's probably a more gifted player than Declan Rice in terms of his ability to kind of spin on the half turn, play those passes through the lines. He's just a more comfortable player in possession, which Declan Rice doesn't really offer you to that level of him. But also, Declan Rice is arguably the best ball winner in the Premier League. The ground he covers, his ability to carry the ball forward, his ball striking these days, whether it's off set pieces or off striking the ball, is at a very high level. And for me, it kind of reinforces why I think Declan Rice should be in this team. But clearly, I think maybe he was just trying to rest him in terms of just benching him. But going for Thomas Partey to start with Odegaard and Havertz slightly ahead of him almost felt to me like Mikel Arteta was saying, let's let the shackles off today and let's try and play a bit more freely. And that's nothing against Declan Rice, because when he came on, he did well. But I think those first 45 to 60 minutes kind of offered you a different way of Arsenal being able to play. Now, that doesn't mean it was the perfect way. It doesn't even mean it's the right way and that it should be a way that Arsenal kind of go forward after this game. But it was different. And to be honest with you, me as a neutral, I'm just trying to see good football. And I actually kind of enjoyed Arsenal a bit more today than I have in the last few weeks. Like I said, it wasn't perfect. They conceded more chances than they typically do. And on a different day, I think Palace could have hurt them. Sarr took his finish extremely well. I think Mateta could have grabbed the goal. Sarr could have probably grabbed the second. They were unlucky today, Palace. Honestly, I don't think the 5-1 really represents an accurate scoreline off today's performance. But I think at the same time, too, if I want to look at it, again, purely from a neutral, Arsenal fans will look at it through a different lens. But I'm just looking at it in terms of enjoying football. I think having a bit of risk and conceding chances and scoring goals and being more open, that's football, man, at the end of the day, right? Like, Arsenal fans, I think, would rather win games 3-1, 4-1, 5-2 than the manner in which they are this season. And yes, there have been some big wins in the midst of that, but I think it's more so the manner in which you're winning 5-1. Like today, that's a game where Arsenal could have scored 6 or 7 today. Yes, they could have conceded 2 or 3, but I think if you're winning those games, and to be fair, to play devil's argument here, Arsenal fans could point to 22-23, where eventually the risk to reward kind of went down and down as the season went, especially once Saliba went out, and eventually Arsenal completely crumbled in that title race. But it's interesting. We'll see, man. We'll see how this Arsenal team kind of reacts. I felt for Palace today, like I said, but man, when Jesus is in that kind of form, when Martinelli's in that kind of form, when Trossard, when Declan Rice, when those guys are firing, Arsenal are a very, very difficult team to stop. Now, if I look at the Premier League table now, it's a good result for Arsenal, because again, it continues putting the pressure on Liverpool and on Chelsea now, who are kind of like they're the new challenger, if you want to call it that. Let's see how long it really lasts. Obviously, Chelsea fans are kind of more on the side of let's just wait till the season plays out, but they're in the midst of it, right? They're in the thick of it. But it's a big result for them. 3 points behind Liverpool with 2 games to play. Chelsea obviously play tomorrow. Puts some distance, continues to put distance on Manchester City. Look, Arsenal are going to make the top 4. That's not really a problem. But at this point in the season for Arsenal, they've left themselves with so much to do that they got to stop even looking at Liverpool and Chelsea's performances and their results. I saw the other day on AFTV, right? Arsenal were 0-0 against Everton. Liverpool go a goal down and a man down, and Arsenal fans are celebrating. Like, at this point, you guys have left yourselves a lot to do. And the best thing, in my opinion, is just let things play out. Continue winning your games. Only focus on yourself and just hope that along the way, Liverpool or Chelsea can just drop points here and there, because at this point, it's no longer in your hands. But performances and results like this, more so results, I would say, are key. The goal difference as well too. I think Arsenal got to continue pumping these teams, man. The fact that yes, they're a bit of distance away from Liverpool and Chelsea, and not so much Chelsea, but they're behind both of them, but the goal difference is still the same, I think is absolutely huge. And when you look at the goal difference of all 3 of these teams, the distance that they're putting behind the rest of the league really, for me, shows that this will be a 3-horse race for the title. I know Arsenal at the moment are the outsiders looking in, but to be fair, out of the 3 teams, their manager has the most experience in this position, and they do still have a very good squad with a very good defensive resoluteness. So I think for Arsenal fans, you just got to hope that Saka comes back early enough, this injury isn't too serious, and you can kind of just go on a run. If I want to look at Arsenal's next fixtures coming up, you got Ipswich at home, Brentford away, Brighton away, Spurs at home, Aston Villa at home, Wolves away. Well, it's not an easy fixture list. City at home, which, I mean, these days, that might be the easiest run in their whole... that might be the easiest game in their whole run, honestly. Let's be real. So, it's not the easiest, it's not the most difficult, but my point here kind of is, this is around the stretch of the season last year where, again, Arsenal were on the outside looking in. They were seeing Liverpool and City flying, and at this point, they had dropped like consecutive games against Fulham and I think West Ham. And Arsenal went on a crazy unbeaten and winning run from mid-December all the way to like March that really got themselves back in the reckoning, got themselves back in the thick of it. And honestly, if a few results had kind of gone their way, maybe a win against City instead of a draw and a win against Villa instead of a loss, maybe Arsenal, their season could have ended differently. But this season, look, that City winning machine isn't there. Liverpool look unstoppable at the moment, but go on a similar winning run to last year, and maybe, just maybe, the rub of the green might just favor Arsenal. It's going to be difficult for them this season. I like the fact that they're prioritizing the cups because, look, better to win something than to win absolutely nothing. But let's see how it kind of pans out. Could Jesus' return to form prove to be a catalyst for change in Arsenal? We'll just have to see.